Welcome, everybody, to episode 6 of 22 Man Game with Jared and Damon. It is 9:26 p.m. Tuesday, September 2nd, 2 days away from ball. Whether it's ethical or not, I suppose we'll find out. Damon, how are you doing?
Woo! Football, baby! That's right.
Ow!
We're here. The season just around the corner. It feels like it snuck up on me. But we're here. I'm tired. It's been a long day, long work day, and then therapy, and now I'm here to get ethical with you. Um, Doing fine. Had a 3-day weekend, Labor Day. That's fun. Double fantasy draft over the weekend. We'll get into that, I'm sure. And now we're here, and I'm ready for football, NFL football, because college football this weekend was not that great to watch, I'll tell you what. Um, so I'm already ready to move on to the pros.
Yeah, I was watching a lot of college football. I was moving into a new apartment this weekend. Podcast studio area loading. Podcast
The
season.
new Ford Field.
The new Ford Field 2. I don't know if we have the square footage for the same attendance, but intimate game setting. No, it's been moving and watching a lot of college football while moving, getting your help moving. Thank you. And yeah, a lot of the games were like low scoring affairs or they were boring blowouts, one of which has NFL relevance. So we'll talk about that one when the time comes. But first, how do you feel about your fantasy drafts?
I feel relatively good. I suppose I can talk first about our work league, kind of work league. Not really a work league
You
anymore.
mean from my former place of employment? Yeah,
Your
that work
former
league.
place of really half the league's former place of
Some
employment.
of them
So
never did. I mean, it's
some,
yeah.
yeah. So it's loosely based in in a workplace. That's how the people know each other. Um, so I'll give you the rundown real quick. I ended up with Jaden Daniels, Chase Brown, Isaiah Pacheco, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Teteroa McMillan, Tyler Warren, Justin Jefferson, Broncos defense, Brandon Aubrey is my kicker. That's my starting lineup this week right now. Bench, I have Garrett Wilson, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Jake Ferguson, Jerome Ford, Keon Coleman, Justin Fields, and the Patriots defense. So I'm rocking double defense just because I think both of these defenses have some value to their early season schedule. Got Jaden at quarterback, which I really like. I ended up with Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Don't know how that happened, but my receiving core is looking stacked. Running backs could use a little work. Tight end is a question mark. Tyler Warren, we'll see. But overall, I can't complain. How do you feel about your team?
Feeling pretty good. I wanted Krosky Merritt, and you ripped him from my clutches, but that's all right. I've got Baker at QB, Gibbs and Kyron Williams are my running backs. Mike Evans and Ricky Pearsall at wide receiver. Brock Bowers at tight end. Travion Henderson at running back. He may or may not come up later in this show. Cardinals for my defense, and Baltimore kicker Tyler Loop as my
Mm,
kicker. I don't feel super great about my bench. Some I like, some I don't. Drake May is my backup QB. I've got RJ Harvey and Jordan Mason and Ollie Gordon for the Broncos, Vikings, and Dolphins, respectively, at running back. Suspended wide receiver Jordan Addison from Minnesota and wide receiver Michael Pittman on my bench. And then I also have Dalton Kincaid, which, hey, if your Tyler Warren situation doesn't work out, give me a ring. But no, I feel good. I got a couple of the sleepers I was excited about. I've been high on Pearsall, high on Travion Henderson, and hoping that one of Ollie Gordon or Jordan Mason turns into a surprise steal
mm.
that either I could use to trade or maybe supplement the lineup if someone's underperforming. So feeling good.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, I don't even think it's worth talking about my other league because you're not in it. So
I think it's fair to say at the very least that your other league team has a number of players that I
mm,
drafted for my team, which is to say we were thinking in similar directions in our fantasy building.
yeah, I ended up with Travion Henderson, Ricky Pearsall, Jordan Addison, Ollie Gordon, Drake May. All five of those players ended up on my other league, which, by the way, $150 buy-in. That's a big time league. So the stakes really matter. And shout out Jake Bates. I have Jake Bates in that league. Let's go.
I love Jake Bates. He was pretty good for me last year, and I feel like the Lions offense will be strong enough to support him having another great year. But speaking of great years, we are going to be talking about who could have the best years in best personal years in the league this season after we hit some news and we preview week one with a fun little segment attached that we're excited about. Let's start with some of the fallout after cut down day. The rosters have gone from 90 to 53 with those, again, 16-man practice squads serving as emergency reserves that can be elevated on game day or else provide scout team support and also just be developed. We'll begin with the trades. The biggest trade of maybe not only this week, but maybe the last 3 years of the NFL or something like that. Cleveland sends Kenny Pickett to Las Vegas for a 2026 fifth-round pick. The league will never be the same. Was that the right trade that everyone's been talking about?
That's the one, yeah. That
Awesome.
Who knows if he'll ascend past Geno Smith to be the number one QB in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily think so, but he could also become the GOAT. And yeah, such an important trade. There was another one people were yapping about. What was that one?
You want me to take the big one? Is that what you want me to do?
I think it is. Yeah.
Okay. Worth mentioning, Aiden O'Connell injured for the Raiders on IR, assuming that's why they picked up Kenny Pickett.
Yeah,
Just
a
worth
fifth
throwing
round pick
that
is
that
not
reasoning in there.
nothing. Yes, and you're right. The trade does matter. They didn't have a backup quarterback. They trusted getting Kenny for a fifth. That's decent backup quarterback trade value. But I am
And one
being a
step
little tongue
closer
in
to
cheek.
Dylan Gabriel's season. That's right.
Dylan Gabriel may also appear later in this show.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyways, the big deal, the Luka trade of the NFL, shall we say, Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for 2 first-round picks and defensive tackle Kenny Clark. And Micah Parsons already has a nice lucrative extension, 4 years, $186 million. I think like 43 to 47 of that is like this season guaranteed already. Um, some crazy number he's making. It's like, oh, the highest non-QB. It's like he's moving up the charts. What a huge deal and a sad end to an era in Dallas for this player. And the response and the aftermath after has just been fun to watch.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk of Jerry Jones being washed and sort of
Uh,
like everyone celebrating the downfall of the Cowboys because for being America's team, most of America does not like that team. And I think for pretty good reason. I think they got a pretty big package, but a lot of what I've been seeing people say is, man, they didn't get enough value and I've heard people talking about closed negotiation like Luca potentially where other teams weren't involved. Apparently, they might have really wanted a defensive tackle going the other way, and that was part of it. But this will definitely change the shape of the league, and I think the course of at least the Packers franchise, if not the Cowboys, being fundamentally altered by this as well.
yeah, and Jerry Jones' response after was just kind of crazy. Um, I don't have all the exact quotes in front of me, but it was basically just like, I'm doing what's best for the Cowboys. Micah was great here, but like he wants all this money, and I don't know if that's going to give us success long term. Blah 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 blah. Um, yeah, and I saw before that the Packers were really the team with there was like odds on it because there's odds on everything. They had like the highest non-Cowboy odds to have Micah Parsons. So it was like the Cowboys were like still the heavy favorite to retain him, and then it was the Packers and then a couple other teams. Um, well, the odds were wrong because he left. So
it
here we
was it was
are.
funny listening to our podcast from last week where we were like, oh, I mean, like it's gonna, he'll come back and everything.
Yeah,
But our predictions of the Cowboys as like 4 and 6 win teams, respectively, feeling a little bit better about
looking
that prediction.
good.
Looking good, baby. Um,
Hilarious.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
I mean, just a disaster of an operation he's running over there.
oh, it's tough. And I I could see that team. I don't know. I could see the team being blown up after this year. Now, granted, maybe they draft two great players with those first round picks, and suddenly they're on their way again with a manageable cap situation, maybe. But I don't know.
It's like a
such a
wise man
huge.
once told me when the Jaguars traded two first round picks for Travis Hunter. Um, he has to be a top 10 receiver and a top 10 corner. Well, they better draft two top 10 players to replace their top 10 player that they just
Yeah,
traded
yeah.
away.
They say one in the hand is worth two in the bush, but I think he might be worth more than two first round picks in the bush. So
Yeah, I mean, and to the credit, it's a fair haul. Like two first in the NFL is a ton. Like,
yeah,
if we have people here that listen to our NBA show too, like teams are just throwing first round picks out the door left and right, like it's nothing because you can trade up to like 8 years in advance in the NBA. It's not the case in the NFL. Very rare that you see picks this high traded in together in this big package. So, I mean, they did get a lot, but again, you could still draft to bust, and then you lost. So,
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you would need significant contributions. I will say 47 million a year is a lot. It completely resets the non QB market. I believe we'd already started the show when that market was reset, and now it's been re-reset and at a level that is far beyond the previous non QB contract. But uh, Jamal Adams, I believe the Seahawks traded two firsts for, and he wasn't exactly
that
franchise
went
altering.
poorly.
That
Yeah.
went poorly, right? I don't think that'll be the case with Micah, but it certainly is a huge investment for Green Bay, and you never root for injury. I think if he's not injured, it's hard to see this not panning out.
Yeah.
But all their eggs definitely in one basket. Micah actually is a little banged up. I was reading that with his back situation, that may affect his availability for Week 1 against Detroit. So we'll see if he ends up suiting up on Sunday, how many snaps he plays,
Yeah, I'm
etc.
okay. I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm all
As am
right with
I.
that.
As am I.
Why don't you
My
take a week off? You've earned it.
Seriously, I mean that flight must have been long and arduous. My back would hurt too after Delta seats. You know what I mean?
Hey,
um,
my Delta flight to LA was great.
yeah. Hey,
I thought you were
Delta
gonna say my
sponsor the
back would
pod.
hurt after carrying the Cowboys for several years, but
Ooh, got him. Nice. Yeah, it's gonna be a really interesting year, an interesting trade that I think we'll be following the repercussions of for for a very long time. My Lions copium take is we have such good tackles that having an edge that's harder to guard isn't as bad for us as having a defensive tackle. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough. You never want to see a player like that twice a year.
welcome to the best division in football.
Yeah, he's actually looked good because he was playing the Giants. Once he's up against us, he'll have two sacks on the year. That's my fingers
Shots
crossed.
fired at the Giants.
If you're watching on YouTube, you would see that I crossed my fingers on camera. Be sure to check out the YouTube channel.
Uh,
Okay,
true.
wanna hit these other trades super quick. We already talked about Kenny Pickett. Minnesota made a quarterback move as well. They sent Sam Howell, former Washington and Seattle quarterback, along with a 2026 sixth round pick to Philadelphia in exchange for a 2026 fifth and 2027 seventh, and then replaced Howell with Carson Wentz.
Yeah, interesting. Weird. I didn't even realize they signed Carson Wentz.
Yeah, I heard they wanted kind of maybe a veteran in the room was some of the thinking. But poor Sam Howell just keeps getting traded all over the place. He
Yeah.
started like a full season and now is just a pinball across the league.
Yeah, wasn't he on the Commanders and then what he went did he go Seahawks last
He
year?
was traded to the Seahawks,
Yeah.
who then traded him to the Vikings, who then traded him to the Eagles.
Right. All right.
Awesome, awesome.
Open up
Um,
Zillow.
yeah, at this point he's got to be renting, right?
We
No, I
can
mean,
hope.
I feel like for a quarterback who's started as many games as he has, I'm surprised that, man, if I'm like Indianapolis, do I not come calling on Sam Howell? I don't know.
Mm.
Anyway,
Fair.
Minnesota also made another trade, reuniting with wide receiver Adam Thielen. They also received a 2026 seventh round pick and 2027 fifth round pick from the Panthers, Thielen's former home. And they sent a 2027 fourth and 2026 fifth to go get him. So some offsetting picks there, but nonetheless a pretty sizable investment to replace future fantasy all-star for my team, Jordan Addison,
Mm.
in those first few weeks with some injuries potentially to the Vikings receiver room.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's exactly what it was. Addison suspended. We need a guy to hold down the fort. Oh, we know this guy. So he'll do it. And he'll do fine.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily putting all my eggs in the Thielen basket, but he could probably give them a good 400 to 600 yards. Um, let's move on to some extensions, and I'll start you off. Please take it away here with the other big holdout who ended, but with the same team here.
Sure. Terry McLaurin of the Washington Commanders has signed a 3-year, $97 crazy, $97 million extension to stay with the franchise. So Jaden Daniels, number one target. We kind of talked about why this hasn't happened already. Clearly the best receiver there, several thousand-yard seasons with quarterback play from the likes of Sam Howell, among others. So now that they have like a real guy that is going to be good on their team, why not keep his really only reliable pass catcher? And that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, former Commander Carson Wentz as well. Minnesota really just likes people who threw to Terry McLaurin, I guess.
Hmm.
Kirk Cousins potentially also, right? So that would be another Vikings QB with
Yeah,
those McLaurin ties.
I know what to do for the next Immaculate Grid NFL edition. If I ever have
That's
Vikings commanders show up, I got plenty of options.
we should maybe do an immaculate grid on one of these episodes. It'd be kind of fun if we had to tackle it together and try to get it as low as possible.
Yeah.
Um, Either that or we could have Dom on and make Dom do it and just stare in silence. Um, just boring, daggers. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I don't see that going well. I don't think I would do well, so I don't see how Dom pulls that off.
Yeah, no, I honestly struggle with the grids, but I do think they're a lot of fun. I do
Hmm.
have a quiz question for you though. Kyle
Uh-oh.
Hamilton, safety of the Baltimore Ravens, signed a
Yeah.
record-setting deal for safeties with 4 years and $100.4 million. It's 25 million a year. Earlier this offseason, a different safety signed what was previously the record-setting
Oh
deal for
God.
safeties. And what safety was that?
Oh geez. Um, I have no idea. I'm like, I have nothing is even coming to mind. Can I give me like a division?
NFC North.
Oh. Oh, was it oh, it was Kirby Joseph.
Kirby Joseph. Yes,
Duh,
Kirby
I did
Joseph.
know that.
Yeah, I was like, you might know this one because it's a Lion, but you might not know this one because following safety contracts is not everyone's favorite
Yeah, I do
pastime.
remember us talking about it briefly, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, no, I mean a super versatile young defender for them. Definitely the kind of piece that I think a lot of the like football, analytics heads really respect. So no surprise to see him getting a big deal from Baltimore for that. I'll throw this one in here as well just to keep it moving along. Jalen Warren, the running back for Pittsburgh. I couldn't get it was weird how they phrased it, but I guess he got $17.5 million in new money, which includes a 2-year extension and a pay raise for this year. I think that's how that breaks up. Um, Davis Mills, the Houston backup quarterback, got 1 year, 7 million. He used to be the starter for them before CJ Stroud took over. I'm sure he doesn't mind taking a nice chunk of change to not find himself on Zillow. And then lastly, pretty big deal for a corner. Deron Bland from Dallas got a 4-year, $90 million deal. So Dallas can pay defenders, just maybe not Micah.
Ah, interesting. Their defense is not going to be very good, but I do think Deron Bland is a fine corner. That's a lot of money, but what do I know?
Yeah, he alongside if Trayvon Diggs is healthy in there, it's a pretty good corner duo. But They're not Micah. They're not Micah.
Yeah.
Um, okay. Super quick, few little things to hit, and then I want to give you the floor to introduce what we'll be doing this season to expand our football minds. Uh, we talked about how we're doing awards this year, so we'll be talking about who we think will be MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Well, those three winners, as well as the Offensive Rookie and Defensive Rookie of the Year, are going to have a gold NFL shield on their collar starting this season. So every NFL jersey, if you look in the center of the collar, it has the NFL shield. There will be a gold shield for those particular players starting this year. So something to watch out for if you see that that's different and you wonder why, to signify they're in a major award winner. We
How
finally
long?
got, I'm sorry, I think for the year.
Oh, okay.
I assume like it's the winner of that previous
They
award
just
and then
have
they
it
get
for
it for the
the
year.
the whole next year. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, kind of an interesting thing. I think it's something that for a casual fan you might just look at and go, why does this person have a different jersey than the
Yeah,
other people? But
that's yeah. Hmm.
I was reading about this.
I,
I also didn't know this. The Walter Payton Man of the Year, if you win that award, which is like the NFL's Good Character Award, most
yeah.
ethical baller award, you might say,
Yeah.
uh, that they get a patch on their jersey for the rest of their career, which I
Oh
actually had no idea
wow.
about.
That's
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah, maybe they need to make these things more prominent. The only thing I feel like I notice when I look at football player jerseys that pops out is like end racism. And I'm like, I
Yeah.
agree.
Like on the
I
back of
feel
the
like
helmet or whatever.
yeah.
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 I feel like it'd be awkward if it's like, okay, all of them say end racism, but if you win offensive rookie of the year, we put that on there instead. And it's like,
You
I
don't get
still
end
want to end
racism.
racism. Uh, I'm telling you. Uh, yeah, I feel like they could maybe, I think maybe they would have more success if they did like a patch that was like the OROY
Mhm.
patch, whatever, DPOY patch. I don't know.
Here's what I
Um,
wonder. I think this will go one of three ways. I think I will never notice it and I'll forget about it. I think I
yeah.
will notice it and think that it stands out way too much and is like ugly, or I will notice it and be like, oh, that's cool. Those are like
Yeah.
the
I
three
mean, it's
ways.
not going to be, wow, the league's so cool now. Yeah. I think it's tough because, like, for example, if you're, I think Saquon was was offensive player of the year.
Yeah,
Does gold go with green?
true.
Does it go with Buffalo Bills blue for the MVP Josh Allen? I don't know, man. I feel like, if you're Lamar and you won the MVP and you already have gold in your color scheme, that's going to look good.
Yeah,
But some teams, I think, it's going to look worse than others.
it's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah, especially when they're wearing their NFL rivalry jerseys, which have
Big.
been revealed for this year. Two divisions, the AFC East and NFC West, will be rocking special rivalry week jerseys. Um, I think we want to rank them. I don't know if now is the time.
It's only those eight.
It's only those eight. They're rolling them out, I think, for like two divisions a year or something like that.
Well, that's stupid. Um,
Correct.
yeah, I think. I mean, we have to wait for Dom. I don't think we can do it without Dom.
Yeah.
Such a crucial part of the Jersey game, the Jersey culture of ethical ball.
So true. I mean, that's my favorite. I'm still waiting on the NBA city jersey rankings.
They haven't released
Me,
them yet. I know.
it's such a shame. I feel like I saw some mock-ups, but not the official stuff. Um,
Hmm.
Either way, maybe this is something when rivalry week comes around, we'll rank them.
Hmm.
I already know I have a few favorites and not so favorites. So
I haven't peeked too much because I kind of want to. I kind of want to leave some shock and awe.
yeah, I just look up, I Google NFL news about 40 times a day. So it just kind of popped up in my feed. And I
Right.
kind of tried to keep myself, if I could find good pictures of it, I would have sent it to the group and we could talk about it. But um, that's okay. I'm nonetheless interested. If the Lions have one, maybe I'll have to cop it. Right now, I don't
Mm.
know. Uh, Lastly, former NFL shining star, Bill Belichick, legendary coach, architect of the New England Patriots dynasty, at least so they say, had a little more dirt smeared on the legacy a little bit. He's now the head coach for the North Carolina Tar Heels, who got whacked by the Horned Frogs of TCU 48-14 just last night. Apparently, the most points given up in a UNC opener ever. and a pretty
Awesome.
devastating loss. Yeah, go Bill Belichick. Um,
I think his girlfriend was a cheerleader at that game too, so um, that's a
yeah,
lie. It was a joke about his girlfriend being really young. That was the joke.
I have to look up a piece of information to make sure this is true. Um,
Big if true.
Come on. Oh, I don't think I spelled her name right because it's spelled wrong. Uh-oh. Um,
Boo.
Respect to the listeners if you have this name. Jordon?
Ah, Jordan.
Jordan. Um, I was gonna say TCU didn't double up just the score, they also doubled up Belichick's girlfriend's age.
Oh,
So
that was good.
because I was like, I swear she's 24. Fun fact about me, I am the same age as Bill Belichick's girlfriend. Yikes. So much of that.
Oh,
Awesome. Let's move on from that news and the news altogether. We're really excited to have a sort of through line for our season. Damon, what are we going to do all of the weeks of the regular season but one?
all of the regular week seasons but one. That was a disaster. We are going to assign random teams to ourselves to really log into that week, watch that game 100% if possible, probably possible, and then come back and kind of talk about what we saw the following week. So by the time season has come to an end, we have seen all 32 teams at least once all the way through and really studied their game meticulously. And everything that we saw in that one week matters for all of their franchise decisions for the next 10 years, and we can evaluate them properly.
Yeah, I don't think we have any misgivings about this making us like experts on, say, the Jacksonville Jaguars defense, right? But I think it's really easy to get swept up in narratives, and so I'm really excited to learn a little bit more about the league, expand my viewing beyond my own team, right? And hopefully that's instructive as to our own ball knowledge, so we may never again be accused of casual in the ethical ball sphere.
You never want the casual accusation for sure. It's a sad one.
Did this
Um,
have a pre-built NFL wheel for this? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I found on the old web, but I'll write down the teams we get, and as we do this in the later weeks, I can already uncheck them, so I don't have to worry about that. Who goes first here? Who wants the first spin on the wheel? I was spinning for you. I decided. Um, Congratulations.
Um,
This will be Jared's team. Week
okay.
one of the NFL season. Jared must watch
Whoa! No, no!
the
Let's go!
Detroit
Let's go! That's
Lions.
crazy. That is so
Wow.
wow.
Live from the pod. I'm sharing the screen. It's not rigged. It's not rigged.
That's actually insane. Now
Something
I
you
don't
were
know
already
much
going to do
about the
anyways.
Lions. I don't know much about them. If you're listening, I have a Lions shirt on that I'm like waving proudly. That's brilliant. That sets up really well for the Lions theme podcasting space
Yeah.
I've created. Yeah, I'll have to debut that. I know a ton about the Lions. I, in fact, felt the need to remove like the Lions cut down trade from the from the rundown just to not be biased. I'll have plenty to say. And I was watching anyway. That's great. This is my first week at a new job. Actually, I'll just be starting that job tomorrow. And while it's part time, it'll still take up a lot of my emotional energy. So, very nice that I'll get to start with them. And that job takes place on Thursday evening. So, if I got the Cowboys, that was going to be a bit of a challenge.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That
So,
would have been
this
very
is
tough.
perfect, man. I love it. Let's see who you get.
Wow. So poetic that you got the Lions.
If you got the Packers, that'd make our lives pretty easy, I guess.
Ah, don't worry. I got the Las Vegas Raiders. Which funnily enough is Dom's football team. So a lot of ethical ball representation here in these first two spins. And at one NFC, one AFC, that's kind of nice. Um, so yeah. I'm excited about the new look Raiders. Ashton Jeanty, that'll be fun. Geno Smith at QB, that'll be fun. Um, yeah, this will be good. I'm happy with this.
I thought it would be really funny if you got one of those two teams, or I got one of those two teams, because we want to start by discussing the games involving the teams we hit on the wheel each week as we preview the week, and talk about the important matchups and then the less important matchups. And the last one I was going to introduce personally was Raiders Patriots as the you must have drafted Travion Hendrickson for your fantasy team game, and
Mm.
you know it's instead I think the game we should talk about first. Please, Damon, can you
Oh
rile us
yeah.
up for Raiders Patriots?
I'm really excited about the Raiders versus the
Yeah.
Patriots. It's going to be
Yeah.
so awesome. Taking place, of course, noon on Sunday, like many other games. No spotlight particularly there for it. I think of the noon games, it is probably the one people will pay the least attention to, perhaps. But we will see. There's actually a couple of noon games, and I'm like, Jesus, ugh.
Yeah.
Um, but no, I think Ashton Genty's debut in the NFL will be really exciting. I think a lot of people are ready for that. I think a lot of people are actually seeing what Pete Carroll, Geno Smith kind of do to this Raiders offense and what that looks like. So I think that's fun too. It's kind of a fun narrative storyline. The defense of the Raiders is Max Crosby and other, and we'll see if other come to play. Drake May, I think, had a great end to year one of his season, and of course, he didn't start as the Patriots started last season. So I think his first kind of look year two, how has he developed? Does he still look like the flashes that we saw at the end of last season? I think is a storyline there. Um, I know Diggs is questionable health wise. We'll see if he suits up and how much he plays, much of a factor he is. Travion Henderson, of course, we mentioned already. Him and Ramondre, what's the backfield split like there? Um, yeah, and then I actually think the Patriots defense, I mentioned I had them in fantasy, is going to be really good um, early on in the season because they have a lot of softer matchups. They obviously have like Christian Gonzalez, like people love that guy, but they spent, and we talked a little bit about this, but they spent a lot of money on defensive free agents this offseason. And Mike Vrabel, I think, is a relatively good defensive-minded coach. Um, so I'm excited to kind of see what that new team looks like under him. Two new coaches. I mean that's fun. So there's a lot of storylines for some what could be subpar teams ultimately.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a game that, in terms of like the relationship between those two teams, I guess maybe this is like a tuck rule revenge game for those who are familiar with the tuck rule. I was not watching or barely even human conscious when that happened, but famous play with Brady against the Raiders and very consequential. All that to say, all that to just mindlessly yap about 2001 or whatever. I think
Tom
this
Brady
matchup,
owns part of the Raiders.
yeah, that's true. Brady, part owner of the Raiders. Also, a Josh McDaniels revenge game, I guess. Former head coach of the Raiders, now offensive coordinator under Mike Vrabel, because time is a flat circle up there in New England. I think, yeah. To your point, I don't think this is a matchup that's about the two teams locking heads with each other in terms of what are we watching for, what gets us excited. It's about what are each of these teams individually bringing in 2025. Are we seeing a leap from the Raiders offense? Are we seeing growth in Drake May and in the Patriots defense with those free agents? And so if you're a fan of either of those teams, you have plenty of reasons to be excited. Is this the most marquee matchup I've ever seen? Not quite. Um, but maybe it'll steal some of my attention away from some of these other less engaging games here. Lions
I have
Packers. Oh,
I
I'm
have
sorry. Go
something I
ahead.
have to say.
Please,
Something I
please
have to
do.
say that I meant to say 40 minutes ago when we started this podcast. Um,
We're not recording.
so hilarious. No. You may notice that my setup looks a little different. This
Oh
broke.
my gosh. The on-air
My
sign, the legendary
yeah,
on-air sign.
the legendary neon on air sign broke. So if you've been watching and you're like, this looks different, that's why. Here's the story. I'll make it quick. On the weekends, I really like to sleep in. And I was sleeping in. I woke up and I couldn't find my glasses or phone. And my bed, right behind me here, is next to this little shelf of things over here. And this sits up here on top of this little popcorn guy typically, and then I hang it on the thing when we do the thing. And I guess in my scramble looking for my phone and glasses that I could not find, they were under my bed, by the way. Um, don't know how that happened. I like kicked this and this fell off and like the cord like ripped out of it. So it's done. It's done for now. And maybe I'll get a new one, but that's why the lighting isn't there. You've probably never actually been able to read this because it's just like a neon blur in the background. But yeah, it says on air. Um, so there's that.
So does that mean we are off air for this episode?
I guess so. I guess we're off air on this one. Off air takes. It was sitting next to me and I didn't think about it this whole time and I looked at it and I was like, I didn't talk about that earlier.
I noticed something was different, but I don't normally watch two-man game, and so I was like, oh, maybe it's just a sometimes thing. But no, I do wonder if there's a way to maybe make it more legible to the viewer because it is just like a bright,
Yeah.
ominous light from your door. But definitely part
Now
of
it's just the
the
void back there.
yeah, it's the abyssal entry into what is actually a really well decorated living area. Um,
Thanks.
yeah,
Sorry, I meant to talk about that forever ago.
no worries. I wasn't trying to push you past it there. I did just want to get my thoughts on Lions Packers out there super fast.
Please.
Lions traveling to Lambeau 325 Central. So one of the afternoon games sharing slots with a few other contests. I think this is a big deal game for the Lions and Packers alike, regardless of which team you think is maybe better or worse. They feel like the two strongest or at least most well-defined contenders for the NFC North title in a historically skilled and competitive division, which means that this division winner could potentially find themselves near the top of the sort of proverbial standings and literal standings. Don't know why I said proverbial in the NFC. So this is a battle between two potential heavyweights. Packers obviously just added Micah Parsons, which could fundamentally alter the trajectory of their season, giving their defense and team overall a true blue ace. The Lions, meanwhile, have several players I would consider at or near the top of their position. Penei Sewell, the tackle, and likely adversary on at least some snaps for Micah Parsons being one of them. We traded away wide receiver Tim Patrick to the Jaguars to create room for Isaac Tesla, who may be dealing with an injury right now, but I will be looking to see how our new coordinators, John Morton and Kelvin Shepard on offense and defense, call this game. I'm looking forward to a healthy defense, hoping to see Tesla maybe establish himself early as a guy to watch as an ascendant wide receiver 3, and maybe a waiver wire candidate in a pretty crowded offense. And yeah, it's going to be a really big contest. I don't love that this is a week one game that could potentially decide the fate of a division, depending on how the rest of the season shakes out. But it will be an exciting watch. I believe I saw a quote. I didn't read the article, but Dan Campbell said something like, and on the eighth day, God made Lambeau Field or Lambeau or whatever, which is pretty funny. It'll be a great game, I think. Definitely near the top of my viewing list, regardless. And with that extra detail, it's going to be a really exciting divisional matchup. And one of several. We have a lot of division matchups in week one here. So going to be exciting. What calls out to you, Damon, as a game that is not one of our wheel teams, but is worth watching, worth keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the easy one here. Sorry, I'm gonna take Ravens Bills.
Nice. Yep. Yep.
Probably the two best teams in the AFC. I think. I think. I mean, I know some people think that the Chiefs are amazing. But I would well, in my record prediction that we did, they finished with the 1 and 2 seed. So this will be a game I'm definitely watching. And luckily for us, it is a prime time game, Sunday evening, 7:20 p.m. Central Time. So I'm very excited about that. Josh Allen coming off his MVP campaign. Lamar has won 2 MVPs recently. Neither team has been able to crack into the Super Bowl as of yet. And I think both teams have been well positioned to for the past 3 seasons at least, and again this season. So, which one starts off with a bang? That'll be kind of fun to watch.
Yeah, I think it's a really important matchup to put week one, but a really fun one nonetheless. And this kind of feels like one of those games where if you know someone who's interested in the NFL but doesn't know the NFL very well and wants to maybe watch a few games and see if they enjoy it, this is probably one I would point you to as like, even if you're not a huge fan of either of these teams, you know it's probably going to be a really exciting high level game of football. So that will
You wouldn't
definitely be
point them to
on.
Jaguars Panthers.
Yeah,
No.
I would say do the like red zone split screen if you can get Jags, Panthers, Raiders, Patriots, Dolphins, Colts, and Cardinals, Saints. They're going to be a lifer after
Yeah.
those games finish with a combined 96 points scored or something. No, I listen, especially if you're a fan of those teams, we all have reasons to be excited about our teams. And hopefully, right, those teams have some juice. I will say that um, for all but one of those four games I mentioned, at least one of their players or staff members is on my awards list as a potential sleeper. So,
Oh.
creating
I
some
can't believe you
intrigue.
have Tyler Shuck on your offensive rookie of the year. That's amazing.
What would surprise you is how much I actually thought about it. Uh,
He's not even the starter.
oh, yeah, I actually that's all. I'm excited to talk rookie of the year.
Yeah.
I will
Tell me
just
about your game, though.
Yeah, I want to highlight game number one of the year. It's Thursday night. I unfortunately will not be predisposed to watch it as I will be working. But this is the Cowboys visiting the Eagles. We've talked about how the Cowboys have been somewhat weakened by the trade of Micah Parsons. Right, it's a significant hole in their defense. And nonetheless, it's just exciting to have football back. Eagles are the previous Super Bowl champions, and divisional matchups, anything can happen. I just think that it's really exciting to see high quality play from the Eagles is something I think that's reasonable to expect. And after
Will they
all of
score
the,
50 points? We'll
will
see.
they score? Well, that would be insane, right? If they put up like 52 on the Cowboys, Jerry Jones might just like dissolve into mist on the spot. I think either way, I'm just really excited to have the game back. I believe it's 7 p.m. on NBC is when that game kicks off.
720.
7:20. 7:20. Sorry if you were sitting down at your couch 20 minutes early because you cut the podcast off right before we said that.
Yeah,
Uh,
as soon as they said 7 p.m., they stopped the podcast
yeah,
immediately.
I need a way to find out when Cowboys Eagles is. I'll listen to this podcast until they say so. It's crazy. No, I think it's going to be really exciting. Schottenheimer
Yeah.
is a new coach for the Cowboys. Going to be really intrigued to see how Schottenheimer performs there. Dak is back. It's a big game for me. Any others calling your name, or do you want to
Dak
rattle off some of
Prescott.
these?
Um, I'll go with I'll go with 49ers Seahawks.
Nice.
I according to my predictions, my record predictions, I think these are the two best teams in the NFC West, which I know some people will say the Rams are up there, which is fair. Um, and I think the 49ers are probably the favorite for a lot of people, but with their receiver core all banged up, all their defensive losses as well, maybe the Seahawks can steal a game in week one and start off in the division strong. Maybe Sam Darnold is a real NFL quarterback. Well, who
Yeah,
knows?
it could be a pretty consequential stolen game there if the Niners receivers are depleted. I'm not necessarily predicting a Sky Moore 120-yard game or anything.
Right.
But
But
I would
Ricky
love to see
Pearsall.
Ricky Pearsall. We are
Yeah.
both we have money on the line that Ricky Pearsall is good. So let's see him come through, shall we? Um, I'll grab one more game and then maybe we can just run through and hit the rest of the schedule super fast here. I want to
Yeah.
highlight Monday night's game. That's 7:15 p.m. on ESPN/ABC. This is Vikings going to Chicago, Minnesota.
NFC North lover.
The reason I choose this, I guess, yeah, two of the three games I talked about are NFC North games. I do think it really matters in the NFC where where JJ McCarthy is at. This is the first regular season action he's going to get. And I think that that's just a really impactful sort of swing point for the season. And I think similarly, seeing Caleb Williams' progress will likewise have an impact. And the divisional matchups just naturally have a little more juice.
Hmm.
I think some of these, kind of like cross conference or maybe lower in the division between two different division teams that don't see each other a lot. Hard to get super excited about those. These teams know each other. Their quarterbacks play is going to be a huge swing point for the season, and that just gets me excited to watch. Um,
Yeah, I think all in all, the NFL did a pretty good job with the primetime allocation this week. I would say all of the games in that primetime, I'm like, oh yeah, I see why.
yeah, the other primetime game we didn't mention is the Friday night game in Sao Paulo. That is on YouTube. It's, I believe, 7 p.m. tip off. That's Kansas City at the Chargers, under the assumption that the Chargers are in Brazil
Right.
as their home. But yeah,
Congratulations. Here's a wasted home game.
yeah, that's the one thing about the international series is if you're the home team internationally, you're really taking a loss
Yeah.
there. But bull
It's
tough.
like all the Chargers fans freaking out in Brazil.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if there were more Chargers fans in Brazil than in the U.S. Unfortunately,
Wow.
so,
They're like the
sorry.
second LA team, to be fair. So,
Needless stray. I just think unfortunately there are certain teams that don't have maybe as strong of a connection with their local community, and I think unfortunately LA having two transplant teams just kind of struggles
yeah.
a little
Yeah,
bit with
moving your
that.
team will do that.
Yeah,
Hard for the fans to follow.
I thought it was kind of cool that San Diego had a team that just sort of feels
Hmm.
like I guess they have the Padres and stuff, right? At some point, I don't know.
Yeah,
Um,
I think you're right.
just
That
felt a little
sounds
more
right.
unique, where I think we're used to LA being this big glitzy thing, but like when the Raiders were Oakland and then you
Hmm.
get the San Diego, it's like, yeah, let's give these kind of, smaller or
I
maybe
loved
less.
the St. Louis Rams too. There was a time when LA had no teams.
Yeah. And I understand that there's maybe a void there, but I think they could have gone about it another way. Um, yeah. St. Louis Rams, bit of I guess Jared Goff was a St. Louis Ram, right? Jeff Fisher era Rams rise up. Uh, either way, I think you make a good point. Do we want to run through the rest of the game super fast? Just knock them out.
What do we say?
Um, why don't we just pick one thing about that game that we're hoping to learn something about?
Great. Steelers, Jets, revenge of Justin Fields. Get excited, baby.
Uh, Dolphins, Colts. Dolphins, Colts. I have to come up with it on the fly. That's tough. Dolphins, Colts. Um, is Tua Tagovailoa at 100%?
Is he better than Daniel Jones?
Is he better than Daniel Jones? And is there? Sorry. Well, I'll do this. Does the ceiling for Miami look strong enough to give them a chance to contend this year?
No. Is my answer to
Will
that
this game
question.
confirm my suspicions that the Dolphins do not have a high enough ceiling to contend this year?
Um, Saints, Cardinals, I'll take from you. So exciting. I actually am curious, with Spencer Rattler getting the week one starting job, who does he have the best connection with? Obviously, you would think it's Olave. Brandon Cook's going back to that team. Rashid Shaheed is on that team. Just a lot of random guys on that offense. I'm curious to see what that passing offense looks like for the Saints.
The dynamic aerial attack.
I don't know if dynamic is the word I would use.
Yeah. Giants and Commanders. I feel like the Giants could be a team that's interesting to watch this year, and I would like to see that start in week one. Maybe we get some dominant defense. Maybe we got a frisky offense. Maybe they'll push the Commanders to the brink, and we'll see a new side of New York.
Panthers, Jaguars. Is Bryce Young a better number one overall pick than Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, that's
I'm doing them
yeah.
like news headlines. I don't really know why, but that's
I don't know. There's like we give it a little
it's
pop. I
fun.
don't know. It's
Yeah.
quick. Yeah, we're enjoying it. Um, Bengals Browns. Is the Bengals defense conscious? That's my question. Are they alive? Are they capable of intervening? No, here it is actually. Bengals Browns. Will Dylan Gabriel take the field? That's my question.
No.
No.
I would assume not. Although is he QB2 now in the depth chart and Shadur's
He
QB3?
is. No Pickett.
Yeah,
No Pickett,
yeah.
no problem.
I guess he could. He's rising up the ranks already. Um,
Dylan Gabriel comeback season loading. Comeback from nothing, but whatever.
Bucks Falcons divisional matchup, probably the two best teams in the NFC South, I think most people would say. Um, I'm curious on the running attacks for these teams. Bucky Irving seems like he's poised to take over Rashad White. How much does he play? Curious. And then for fantasy, because I have Bijan on my other team, please don't vulture touchdowns from him with Tyler Algier, and I'll be happy.
Um, Titans Broncos. Is Cam Ward good, and are the Broncos great?
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
That would be my answer to this. Um, Texans Rams. Which of Damon's pet teams? Because my grandma's from St. Louis, and I watched the St. Louis Rams growing up, and I'm obviously from Galveston, which is nearest to Houston. Which of Damon's pet teams will have a better season? It starts right now. It's a great question. I feel like they're both high wild card teams.
Yeah. As I famously said 1 week ago, the Texans are the team that will decide the fate of the NFC West. So, I like how for mine you would just answer no or yes, and then yours I can't do that too. Yeah, this could be the battle of two teams that are either really good or overhyped. I'm curious for sure.
Yeah.
That is the entire slate there. Definitely doesn't matter who your team is. Doesn't matter if the matchup isn't the juiciest. Just exciting to have ball back and things to talk about.
I'm already excited to preview week 2. I'm so ready for the quick one-liners getting the
Oh,
game
I
started.
am as well. And I'm also really excited to, I will say Heed the Call podcast does this great bit where they'll do it's slogans for each team each year. So they'll like, okay, Cardinals, who's got a slogan for the Cardinals? And then they'll just throw something out. And it gave me that vibe, which makes me very, very happy. I'm also excited to get past week 1 because there's going to be a team that is randomly really good or really bad for 1 or 2 weeks and then regulates. And
it's like the Saints last year when Alvin Kamara had like 40 fantasy points in the first 2 weeks, and I was like, what is happening?
The Saints week 1, what was the score of that game? 20.
Insane. It was they had a lot of points.
Let's see, their regular season 2024 schedule. Yeah, they won their first 2 games versus Carolina 47-10, at Dallas 44-19.
Insane.
Yep. They then lost the next 7 games. So
I don't know if you heard me just knock my water onto my computer, but my computer's still on, so that's good.
Oh, like your loose open water?
I think it was. I mean, there's some sprinkles here and there. It was definitely closed, but there's some water that has escaped. Did you hear it? Was it super loud?
No, I didn't hear it at all.
That's crazy. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. While you do that, why don't I preview what we're going to do next? We are excited because we looked at all of the awards that are going to be given out this year at the NFL Honors. Some of them we decided to omit. I don't think we're qualified to determine the fan of the year. But we looked at the major ones, and we've got our kind of favorites for each award, who might be the runner-up or also in competition, and then our third pick, our kind of number 3, is sort of a dark horse question mark. I know I fiddled over one of these. One of them I couldn't think of a dark horse for, so maybe we'll talk about it live. The awards we chose are MVP, Offensive and Defensive Players of the Year, Offensive and Defensive Rookies of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Assistant of the Year, and then Protector of the Year. I'm not sure this will be given out at NFL Honors, but I'm almost 100%. That's an award for offensive linemen in particular. Uh, and I'm really excited to get into it. Is your computer dry, Damon, and are you ready to rock?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, sorry. This is a disaster. Um, what was I going to say? When you told me about this and I mentioned the idea of us having a dark horse pick, you texted me something like, yeah, and we talk about like the narrative on how to get there. So some of these maybe are less dark horsey and more like, here's the cool narrative that I came up with in my head. Um, so we'll see.
Most of my award picks are a projection of either my bitterness or my belief that the NFL surely has their hand in the cookie jar and is maybe rigging
Mm,
some of these things. So narratives are dotted all over mine as well. So I'm definitely like in the same frame of
all
mind.
right.
Like if you tell yourself a story, you can get there kind of things. Uh, what award would you like to start with? And I'll let you kick us off with your
Yeah.
picks for that award.
Let's start with the most exciting award, the one I know people are going to want to hear, the Assistant Coach of the Year. Um,
Yes, yes.
I texted you this and I said, "Are we doing this one?" You said yes, and I said,
I think it's kind of fun to
"Okay."
have to do the ones that make no sense. So I like that
It's
one.
like, how on earth am I supposed to know? And I went back and I looked at people that won, and like last year's Ben Johnson, right? The Lions offense was awesome. Like,
Yep.
okay, I get it. It makes sense why he won. I for me in my experience in looking at these, especially when it comes to the NBA, because I have a lot of experience with that. What I think happens a lot of the time is to win this award, and I noticed this for the NFL one specifically, you have to get better, right? Like you can't regress record wise and then win an award, for the coaches at least. But you also have to like subvert expectations. So I think like for example, the Eagles are going to have probably a great offense this year. Nobody is going to give their offensive coordinator an award for it because that's what people expect to happen. So I kind of went for who I think would subvert expectations to a degree, or who would just be like super outstanding. The person I put winning, I think, was maybe the odds favorite. I put Vance Johnson for the Broncos defense because I have the Broncos defense in both of my fantasy leagues because I think their defense is going to be awesome, and I think they have a fairly favorable schedule for it with a Defensive Player of the Year. So that's what I picked as my winner.
Do we want to go winner, winner, and then we'll kind of go down our list
I don't know. I
each?
stopped there to figure it out because I was like, do I keep going or
Um, yeah, I let's do that. Let's give like maybe we'll do our one and two. So who are the two you think are the most likely, and then we'll
Hmm.
each share our dark horse. So
Here's
besides Vance
this.
Joseph,
Yeah. Besides Vance Joseph, give me Cliff Kingsbury for the Washington
nice.
offense because I believe in Jaden Daniels and the Washington offense. And I think their defense is not terrible, but I don't think it's anything that's like amazing. And I think if the Washington Commanders are going to be good this year, it's going to be mostly led by their offense. So Cliff Kingsbury will receive some credit there.
Sweet. I do want to clarify before I go in, by the way, all of my awards kind of happen on different timelines. So like my picks might be conflicting depending
Yeah,
on
yeah,
what
yeah, yeah,
happens.
yeah, for
All my
sure.
number one picks I think could exist in the same universe, but like some of my
Mm,
twos and threes would require different things to happen. Um, my number one was also Vance Joseph. I just think if the Broncos defense is like truly an all-world defense, and they're a really competitive team that wins 13 games or something, people will talk about their defense. And then my number two is Al Golden, the Cincinnati defensive coordinator. In a world where that defense is a top 10 unit, it will be considered, a turnaround and a miracle, and it would likely
subverting expectations. Yeah.
subverting. I'm so much of this is subverting expectations,
Yeah.
right? And so I think, um, I feel like it's probable that with in the event that their defense is good, I would expect their team to be very good, and
Hmm.
potentially pushing for the number one seed in the AFC, and that would give them pop. So that is my one and two. I agree with you on Vance Joseph. Who is your dark horse pick?
My dark horse pick. I'll paint a picture. In the NFC South, one team rises above all to claim the throne at 10-7, led by a stellar offense in which Zach Robinson of the Falcons has given the ball to Bijan
Um,
Robinson 1,000 times,
yeah.
and that's how their offense works, and they win a lot of games for it. And again, another team that I don't think their defense is all that great, but this is a team that I think is going to win somewhere between like 8 and 10 football games. And if they do that and happen to win the division, I think their offense is going to get a lot of credit for it.
I love the storytelling format. Now I'm gonna have to do that with all of my sleeper picks. I think that's a really interesting one. I didn't really have the Falcons on my radar, but I think you're so right. I think if Zach Robinson guides a strong game, like maybe they do a lot of play action, and Michael Penix looks
I was
good.
going to say if he
I
develops Michael Penix a little bit too, yeah.
I actually now that I think about it that way, we went in a similar direction. Um, They were only supposed to have one team from their division go to the playoffs this year. I thought they were still 2 years away from rebuilding. But wait, the Patriots, they're relevant again. All thanks to the might of Drake May and his proud offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, who is my sleeper pick. I think for a similar reason to Zach
Hmm.
Robinson, if you can take a second year QB, make him look really good and put a team that is a maybe into a team that's a definitive yes, playoff wise, that's a recipe for success, especially again, you got to subvert those expectations. We'll talk about that more when we get to coach of the year because I have heated thoughts about coach of the year. Um, and yeah, so I'm with you. I really like the Zach Robinson pick. I could see that playing out. Um,
I like
and
Josh
hey,
McDaniels too. I thought about him. I did. I thought about the Patriots a lot for some of these awards for some
yeah.
reason, but this kept popping up in my head.
Spoiler: you'll only see the Patriots one more time for me. I don't know
Okay.
how many times you're gonna they're gonna show up on your list.
What
But
award do you want to move to?
gosh, it's tough because a lot of these you kind of have to do in a pair.
Hmm.
Um, Here's a weird take. I think MVP is kind of boring. I think it's kind of like
Fair.
not as interesting as some of the other ones. So let's do MVP next. And if
All
you're a
right.
listener who's like, I want to hear what they say about MVP, and then I'm turning it off. Fine, we lost you. Like on your way out, give us 5 stars. That's
We, we
okay.
we lost them when we started with assistant coach, so they're gone.
we,
They're
we,
not
we
here
lost
anymore.
we lost them after we gave our initial estimate of the time for the Eagles Cowboys game. But yeah, I'll run through my top two.
Sure.
I've got at the number one spot. I don't know why I wrote Joey Bones, but it's the only thing I'm going to think for this player from now on. It's burned into my skull that Joe Burrow is Joey Bones, baby. And I
Hilarious.
don't know why. I really don't know why. It's like staring at me every time I look at the screen. I do think Joe Burrow, and this is not in the Al Golden is a great defensive coordinator right off the bat timeline. I think if Joe Burrow leads this team to being the fifth seed in the AFC, behind the Ravens winning the division or something like that, and they're far and away the best fifth seed. I would point to like the Vikings being a 14-win team last year. Um, if they're really really strong on offense, they look like a playoff contender. And a clear division winner in the AFC South and AFC, in the AFC South, but they're in the AFC North, so they don't get that privilege. I think Joe Burrow's got a good shot. He's got his guys with him. He's got T and Jamar. I think there's probably a little bit of fatigue, at least for me, from like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson being those kind of top guys. I think the league will want to shake it up a little bit, move the narrative around. The other guy, who's a complete reversal of what just came out of my mouth, is Mahomes. I could see one of two things being true. Either the league wants to shake it up or they want to retain the image of the golden boy, right? They want to keep their true sterling MVP in place. And so they put Mahomes back up on that pedestal. And if he has a really dynamic year with Xavier Worthy and Rasheed Rice once he comes back from the suspension, he would maybe have enough juice to be in consideration again.
And now engaged Travis Kelce. Didn't talk about that on the news segment, huh?
I did skip the most important news, and
Uh,
the reason I did is because I trusted all of our Taylor Swift listener fans to already be aware of the news that's important, not just to those two, but to all of us.
your gym teacher and English teacher are getting married.
um,
Ah,
and
ah.
and this former English teacher is quietly quietly sighing about it. Who are your number 1 and 2 for MVP?
Yeah, I want to comment on yours real quick. I think Joe Burrow was the favorite most of last season, and the reason he didn't win is because the Bengals didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think he kind of lost at the end. It's interesting that you went with that way because I think you predicted the Bengals to be like 8-9 or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
So-
I when I was thinking about it from an individual perspective, yeah, maybe I'm going against my own grain. Maybe that was silly, but I don't know. I just feel like Josh and Lamar have been such the center of conversation the last 3 years, and I don't know. I could just see a really explosive offensive attack with Burrow breaking that mold a little bit, but they would
yeah.
need to make the wild card at least for sure.
I have him on one of my fantasy teams, so that would be great.
Nice.
Love that. It's funny. My 1 and 2 are Josh and Lamar. So,
Fair.
and it's I just like couldn't get over it because I had the Bills. I looked back at my records to help me with this because I do feel like teams that have a lot of team success, often the MVP kind of goes to a player on one of those teams, and it's a quarterback award. We all know this. Actually, it's hilarious. I was looking at the odds for MVP. Um, and if you don't understand how this works, I believe the highest one I looked was Josh Allen to repeat. Or no, maybe it was Lamar. Maybe it was Lamar. It was at plus 4,900, which, if I'm not mistaken, that means I'm not 4,900, 490. If I'm not mistaken, that means you pay $10 and you would win $49 for said bet.
I believe you.
Um, the first non-QB that was on this list was Saquon at plus 6,000.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
the people that were ahead of Saquon were like Kyler Murray and like other
Yeah.
just like Bo Nix, like just like random quarterbacks. I think Cam Ward had plus 6,000 as well. Rookie
I
quarterback for the
I don't see
Titans.
that
So
happening. I don't.
it was like, yeah, this is a quarterback award. I just thought that was funny. Yeah, so I had Josh Allen as the first repeat since Aaron Rodgers, which hasn't happened in quite a bit. And I do think part of that is fatigue. I just looked at my records and I had the Bills as 15-2. And I was like, hmm, this is probably something that they would want to reward if this happened. So kind
Yeah.
of pairing
You'd
that with it.
think. You'd
You'd
think.
think. You'd think. And then I do think the Ravens are going to be very good again. I think Lamar will be a big part of that. I think I ended up giving Josh Allen the edge because I was kind of like whatever with these two. Kind of, I mean, like these are not like I can't wait for them to win MVP. Like you said, I think we're all kind of fatigued by it. I was just like, who are the best quarterbacks? Yeah, those guys. Oh, which teams are the best? Those teams. Okay, I guess those are the people. Um, I think I did give the edge to Josh because Lamar does have Derrick Henry in the backfield too to take touchdowns and carries and scrambles and stuff away from him. And the Bills have James Cook, but I think he's kind of less of a threat for some of that stuff. Whereas I feel like the Bills' offense is just like Josh Allen making stuff happen, basically. Um, Even like their receiving core is like pretty whatever. So I feel like he'll get a lot of the credit there. So that's my 1 and 2. Just very basic. Very basic. I was like, yeah, who are the best QBs? Those
That's why
ones.
I wanted to get this out of the way. I kind of feel like
Yeah,
it's the
that's
most.
fair.
I was watching Rich Eisen with Addie, my girlfriend, yesterday or the night before, and
Yeah, I know
they
her.
do. You've heard of her, yeah. For the listener, and they do like this kind of overreaction Monday segment where Chris Brockman, who's one of the other people on the show, will come up with hot takes, and then Rich will determine whether they're overreactions. And I think Chris was like, one of the big four quarterbacks won't win MVP, and the four were Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, and Lamar. So like, you know,
Here we
it's
go.
it's it's clear we've all circled this, right?
Yeah.
And I just think it's
I'm
more
glad
fun
that we
to.
both that I had two of them and you had two of them. It's funny.
I do think that there needs to be like a QB of the year award so that we can shake MVP up and let it be a real award again.
Yeah.
Um, Let me give you my dark horse before I get
Please.
lost in this take. Emerging from a cybernetic chamber designed to enhance the spine, Matthew Stafford guides the
Oh
Rams
man.
to the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Wow.
And in so doing, becomes MVP of the league. I think that's the only way you would do it. I think Stafford would have to have like a 5,000 plus yard season and just an insane connection with Puka Nakua and Devontae Adams. And the Rams would have to be elite, just like a
Mhm.
can't deny it season from Stafford. But I think outside of those top AFC quarterbacks and Jaden Daniels, maybe he's the one guy who I could see having like such a phenomenal passing season. And also enough respect from the league because Jared Goff could have a phenomenal passing season, but they just wouldn't give him the love for it. Speaking of 15-2. And yeah, I don't know. I just kind of seemed like a fun narrative to me. I liked envisioning a world where perhaps for Stafford it's possible. Of course, unfortunately, after the bye and making it to the NFC Championship game, the Lions would go to Los Angeles and best them on the way to the Super Bowl. But much love for
Definitely.
Stafford. Who is your number three? I'm curious who your sleeper would be for this.
My sleeper. I don't think it's as much of a sleeper as Stafford. Stafford's a great pull from you. But again, I went the narrative route. So week 16 and week 18 divisional matchups that could decide the fate of the NFC. And Jaden Daniels leads the Commanders in two victories
Ooh,
over the Eagles to clutch
nice.
out the number one seed in the NFC and win MVP because he's awesome and had an awesome season. I think both teams at this point in the season will have great records, and if he were somehow able to lead past the Eagles, give that divisional edge to them, and win the division, and what would likely be the one or two seed or something like that, then he would get looked at for that award.
I 100% am with you and kind of regret not putting him in that spot for myself. Like he was really circled, but um, yeah, I think that's a great pick. I think if the Commanders are a number one seed or number two seed, he's got a really good chance. And so yeah, I love that pick, and I could absolutely see that happening. I would say that's a sleeper that I would actually have some confidence in seeing
Yeah.
truly come true. Um, what award would you like to do next?
Well, I did assistant coach, so let's go ahead and knock coach of the year. Let's knock the other one out the way,
Woo!
I
All right.
suppose. Um, all right. My coach of the year. It's so weird because the person I chose is like not even close to the odds-on favorite. But for me in my head, I was like, this is so clear because this person has never won coach of the year, and I feel like they're a very highly touted coach. And I predict them to have a pretty good record because they play a lot of crappy teams. And that's Kyle Shanahan of the San Francisco
Nice.
49ers.
Okay.
Because I had them going 13-4 and winning that division. And I think everyone loves Kyle Shanahan. So when I was going back through the previous winners, I was kind of surprised to not see his name there. I know he hasn't been a head coach that long coming from the Sean McVay tree. But yeah, I thought that he has a good shot this year, especially with all the narrative surrounding their team starting the year. The injuries, Christian McCaffrey coming back. Like, if he can kind of put the pieces together, I think he has a shot there. My other two are fun. This was a fun one for me. This I was like looking at these teams and I was like, number two is kind of a narrative one too. Not as narrative as or not dark horse narrative, I guess, but I put Liam Cohen number two for
Ooh.
figuring out how to use Travis Hunter, and
Ooh,
maybe
good call.
also figuring out anything going on with Trevor Lawrence and if he's ever going to be more than mediocre, um, and just making the Jaguars. I think us like I think they could be because I was looking back at Coach of the Year, and I saw that like Brian Dable won when the Giants were like 9-7-1, and I think it was just because it was a surprise that the Giants were even good. So if the Jaguars could barely edge out an AFC South division title somehow, I feel like people would be like, "Wow, they're actually doing stuff over there." Um, and new coach would get some love.
I actually love the Shanahan pick. He was a name I had kind of like right in that cluster. And I'll be honest, for a lot of these, I had like three names, or I had like five, six, seven names circling in my head. And I couldn't pick which one I thought actually had a chance, so I just stuck with two of them. I'm going to change my number two for Coach of the Year right now because if we're going to have fun with this, why not have fun with this?
Have
Um,
fun.
Up until making this change, all three of them were actually coaches in their first year with the team. But I think
Mm,
that this change is fun. My number one's the odds-on favorite. That's Ben Johnson. I just feel like, yes, the Bears have expectations, but the expectation is to be an unexpected riser. It's this sort of weird double think that we managed to do where we all agree that one team is a sleeper. Um, and the Bears are that team, and Ben Johnson's that coach. And I think if he gets the Bears to the playoffs, even if it's just the wild card and makes Caleb Williams look good, everyone will go, yeah, that's the cool thing we thought he would do. And then he'll get it. My number two is going to be Pete Carroll, but you
Mm.
inspired me to have fun and go on a limb. I think the narrative for this player that's so important to this team has already kind of played out last year. But in a world where this team wins their division, why can't Panthers head coach Dave Canales win Coach of the Year? If they're suddenly 11-6 with a resurgent Bryce, I'm worried that the magic of the Bryce Young comeback is wearing off somewhat because he already looked better last year. But if Bryce Young is maybe a top 10 QB definitively, I think it'd be kind of fun for the Panthers to turn relevant again. And so that's my number two pick.
So wait, it was Pete Carroll, but now it's Canales.
It's Canales. So I've got Ben
Got it.
Johnson and Dave Canales are my one and two.
Got it. Got it. Got it. I fear we may have the same number three, but we will see.
I will say, I would be stunned. It would shock me if we had the same number.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
I went because I'm a believer in some people on this team, and this team has been far too mediocre for far too long. Longest playoff drought in the NFL, right? Aaron Glenn,
Ooh.
coaching the Jets here. I think that people are already like, I feel like in the media at least, it seems like Justin Fields is pretty written off, which is shocking to me because I don't think he's an amazing quarterback, but I don't think he's really been a bad quarterback in his career. I just feel like he hasn't been giving the right things around him. Now I'm not saying that this Jets team is exactly that, but we'll see. And of course, as a defensive guy coming over from Detroit, I'm excited to see what he can do with that side of the ball. And I feel like this is a team, especially with like the Patriots, I think we both have relatively high expectations for. The Dolphins, I think we have relatively low expectations for. And then the Bills are like dominant. But it's not like a crazy division. It's not like the AFC West or the NFC West where it's like, oh my God, all these heavy hitters over here. So I think that they have a chance here to like birth a wild card 7 seed kind of matchup
Mm.
if they kind of scoot by some of their closely contested games. And again, this is a team that has the longest playoff drought in the NFL. So if they manage to break that, I feel like that's just something that they're like, yep, you'll win Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I actually I think all the narrative pieces line up. My one worry with Glenn is that it feels like this award often goes to the quote unquote genius, right? Like they like to give it to
Mm,
scheme fiends, and I think Glenn has more of a culture perception potentially as like a rah rah guy and not the brainiac guy.
hmm
But I like that. I like that thought, and I wonder maybe that would be an assistant of the year nod for Tanner Engstrand or something, if not head coach for Glenn. But I would love that for Glenn. I think Glenn's a really cool guy. I actually was rewatching with Addie because she had never seen it, the Hard Knocks with the Lions from a few
hmm
years ago. He's just got such a great personality.
Yeah, I actually have never watched it myself. I never did. I've never watched an episode of Hard Knocks in my life.
I I respect it. I think it's not always the most engaging television. And I know you also aren't like, I feel like if they did it for the Rockets, I would assume you'd watch that, right? If it was like
Yeah, probably.
watching preseason with a salt, like, or
Amen.
Amen Tom. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember. I was like, who's his which? Yeah, if it was like, you just get kind of like 60 minutes of Amin Thompson and Shengun like hanging out and being friends, so like,
Right.
Um, but I mean, watching like you could see how Ime Udoka coaches. As a Lions fan, and especially coming off that 3-13 in one season, it was like just so cool. Anyway, uh, I won't ramble about that too long.
Shout
Even
out
though they are
Jamal
my
Williams.
shout out Jamal Williams, indeed known anime enjoyer Jamal Williams. One of the greatest quotes ever from that show. If you're gonna piss like a puppy, then stay on the porch. I love that, man. It's so good.
God.
If you're gonna piss like a puppy, then stay on the porch. I agree. You know who's not gonna piss like a puppy in this timeline?
Who's that?
My number three for coach of the year. I, I think I just wrote this because I knew it would be the most ridiculous thing. Kellen Moore, baby. Let's go. Kellen Moore,
Oh,
coach of the year. Easy. I'm looking at that Dable year just as you are. I'm looking at Kevin O'Connell turning Sam Darnold into a star. I'm thinking about Kevin Stefanski spinning gold from Joe Flacco. I think he won the Joe
that
Flacco
guy
thing
won Coach of the Year twice,
two
which is
times.
crazy.
I'd say Brian Dable's probably one of the coaches that people predict will be fired the most, and he's won Coach of the Year with the same team. So it's very much a oh come on, land the pole. Hang on, this is no, I
Do,
know this
do,
guy's
do,
name.
do, 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 do.
Um, got it. This is very much a Dwayne Casey situation. Thank you very much.
Mm,
Um,
good pull. Good pull.
Detroit former Detroit Pistons head coach who had won a Coach of the Year before going to Detroit, like 1 year later.
Yeah.
Sorry, I really needed that. Anyway, Kellen Moore, Spencer Rattler, and Tyler Shuck neither inspire confidence. If he's able to get the Saints even up to something like 8 and 9, if he gets them to the wild card, I think it's a lock. If he gets them close and the team looks compelling and the offense looks fun, I think there's a world where we look at Kellen Moore and say, "Man, who saw that coming?" Especially if some of these other candidates like Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, who I think is another viable pick, if they aren't performing, Kellen Moore maybe emerges as the who could have seen this coming coach of the
Hmm.
year. So yeah, uh, I
I
think it'll be a fun
understand why you
award.
said I would be shocked.
Yeah,
That
because it's
makes sense.
ridiculous, super ridiculous. But I think they're so bottom of the barrel expectations wise
Yeah,
that there's a chance. And I think him also being an offensive mind in theory, right? Him coming from that offensive coordinator tree. We'll see. Um,
sure.
let's do one of the more expected ones here. Let's do offensive player of the year.
Okay.
Um, I like how you're doing all the strange picks or the
Yeah.
maybe less prevalent
On
picks than
on
I
my
am.
list, I'm literally going from the bottom and you're going from the top. It's kind of
I
funny.
think I did literally like pretty much the same. Yes,
Yeah.
actually, exactly the same for my list. That's so funny.
Huge.
Okay, offensive player of the year. Number one, I have Jahmyr Gibbs. Don't even necessarily think Jahmyr Gibbs. Like, I'm so jaded that even if Gibbs had the best offensive season in the league, I don't know if he'd win it. But I think the way he's going to be used in this offense, it seems like they're going to try to have two running backs in the field more often. If JMO's stretching the field, creating options for passing underneath, I just think Gibbs could have a really, really explosive season as a runner and catching the ball. And I think that would be enough to give him a lot of touchdowns, a lot of yards, and a player who makes a highlight play every week and is just in the public consciousness.
Mm.
And that gives him enough to kind of have that stamp of approval as, yeah, you're an award winning player. My number two is a sleeper kind of, but I really, really like this pick. And I'm excited I have a forum where I can share this pick. I think Malik Neighbors has a chance. I think Malik
Mm.
Neighbors is a
It's
really,
a good one.
really good wide receiver. I think he played really well last year, consistently explosive in a huge market. And if he's got, 300, 400 more yards on the year, maybe he's got some better quarterback play. And especially if the Giants manage to be playoff relevant, he could easily be that kind of OBJ 2.0 star New York receiver who gets the nod for just being a truly, winning dynamic playmaker week in and week out. So kind of sleepery, but I really like his potential to win this award.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I thought about him for sure because there's not a lot else going on in the Giants playmaker position, so I
That's
get
true
that.
too. He's going to be the guy.
For my one, I had Justin Jefferson, because I think rookie quarterback, not rookie, I guess technically, but second year quarterback, he's going to throw the ball a lot to the guy that he trusts most, and I think Justin Jefferson will be that guy, that kind of safety blanket option for him. Jordan Addison suspended to start the season. I don't think 46-year-old Adam Thielen is that much of a threat. Um, so yeah, I just expect him to get the ball a ton in this offense as the year progresses and kind of be the go-to option as he often has been there. And everyone knows that, and no one can stop it. So there's that. My number two, it's also relatively obvious. Uh, Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown last year and didn't win this award because Saquon, I guess, had such a stellar season. And I honestly feel like part of the reason they would give it to him this year is because he didn't win it last year. Kind of that narrative reason of like, oh, he was awesome last year and he didn't win it. Even if he's not as awesome this year, we'll still give it to him because now he's kind of had like two awesome seasons. Um, Almost kind of like giving it to him post when he should have got it, if that makes sense.
Is this a Joel Embiid situation? Is that the right
Yes.
reference? Yes. Okay.
Yes. Wow, look at the basketball knowledge coming out of this guy today.
I listened to Two Man Game with Damon and
Mm.
Dom. It makes me very knowledgeable. Like, subscribe, and listen. Sorry. Um,
Thank you.
yeah, no, two great picks. I mean, like they're chalk for a reason. They're just so
Yeah.
good, and they're the centerpiece of their respective offenses. I think especially too, Jefferson being kind of on an island, playmaker wise, those first few weeks. I mean, Thielen will be there, but um, yeah, I mean, there's a chance he just feasts early in the season, and then if McCarthy gets used to him, gets that momentum going. I think that's a great pick. Here's
Who's
my
your sleeper?
here's my sleeper. Do you know who the last quarterback to win this award is and when they won it?
Absolutely not. No
I
clue.
did some digging because I know they have some awards that it seems like they purposely skew away from positions. That's
Yeah.
the case with Patrick Mahomes being the last winner of the award in 2018.
Mm.
I believe that there is a quarterback that the league will want to make another one of their guys, especially because most of their guys are in the AFC right now. And I think that player is Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is unique because he plays on the ground. He's a running quarterback, kind of like Lamar is, and also gets action in the air. And I wonder if that will make him feel like such a weapon, right? More than just a quarterback, but using his legs, those kinds of things. And maybe the league will just want him to be that guy. So maybe they break a years old. And I know the league doesn't pick these. These are picked by writers.
Hmm.
And so it's like the league just is. I'm making it sound that way. It's not how it works for the listener. But I do think Jaden Daniels has a chance to maybe break that trend if they really want to keep his star high in the air. So that is my sleeper. Who is your sleeper?
Yeah, my sleeper. I've talked about this team already because I think this player is going to get a lot of work for an offense that needs them to get a lot of work to be successful, and that is Bijan Robinson of the
Mm.
Falcons, having a Saquon-esque season, just a ton of touches, I think, and efficiency and touchdowns, and all of that stuff that he would need. I think the division is there. You know, if Michael Penix is not exactly throwing Hail Marys down the field. He can check down to Bijan. Bijan can also run the ball. And then he ends up with lots of touches, lots of yards, and lots of touchdowns for an otherwise lacking offensive attack.
Yeah, I think it's a great pick, especially if they give him the ball out in the air. A player who never occurred to me in these rankings, but maybe should have because he's got real potential. Up next, it's your award to
Or that's
choose.
the me selecting him at number one in my $150 fantasy league speaking, but
Wow, that's a lot riding on him, but it seems like he has a pretty good health track record. Knock on wood. Um, if for the podcast listener, that was me knocking on wood. Yeah, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you in the $150 league. Preying on your downfall in the $10 league.
thank you. Let's prey on some upfall with the comeback players of the
Preying
year.
on some upfall is
There you
crazy.
go. The one is super obvious. Lions own Aiden Hutchinson,
Yep.
um, breaking his leg or whatever last year. I think that's like the super obvious storyline coming back.
Mhm.
Superstar level defender has a great season, then he will be rewarded in kind, I suppose. With the number two, I picked a player that hasn't played in the NFL yet in a regular season game. That's JJ McCarthy, Vikings quarterback. I think even though he played in the preseason last year, people will think about him for this award because it's so well known that he was injured that I could definitely see it happening. So those are my ones and twos for you.
Yeah, mine are the exact same. Hutch
Awesome.
is,
It's like the
yeah.
first overlap we've had, which is kind of crazy. But
We both advanced Joseph.
nah,
Um,
I don't remember that.
yeah, we both were. Our minds melded on assistant of the year. But yeah, I think
Yes.
here's my prediction, and this is my Lions bitterness. I think Hutch will play like the defensive player of the year, but it'll be easier to just give him comeback player of the year and then give someone else defensive player of the year,
Mm,
right? Like, oh, well, he came back, and so that was his thing. Even though DPOY is obviously going to be like kind of the more marquee award, and it's going to go to someone in my predictions, who I don't necessarily want it to go to either. And
mm.
then, yeah, I think JJ McCarthy is just too, like, being a quarterback for a team that is talented enough where if he's just okay, could be relevant. Just hard not to see him being a top contender for this award. And then in that case, what's your sleeper? I don't think we'll have the same sleeper, but we'll see.
My sleeper taking over the backfield after years of catastrophic injuries on a new team. Nick Chubb emerges as a running back one and comes back. He's just been so unhealthy that it would be nice to see him have a sustainable season. Joe Mixon starting the season on IR for the Texans. And I think the options behind Nick Chubb are a rookie I've never heard of, and Damian Pierce, who is kind of already busted out. So I could see him getting a lot of carries for a successful offense in a weaker division and winning that award.
I like your pick. I was looking at the comeback player of the year list of the betting favorites, and I saw Trevor Lawrence, and I was like, yeah, he got hurt. He didn't get like
Came back
super,
from
like,
being subpar.
pretty much. But I think the league has come out and said after Joe Flacco won the award over Damar Hamlin, which is crazy. Um,
Yeah.
Damar Hamlin, for the listener, died on the football field or something. He had a heart attack, and was like, saved from that and came back to play football the next year. But Joe Flacco took the Browns to the playoffs. Um, so I think they want it to be injured guys. And so there's part of my brain that was like, do they want to give this to Travis Kelce just so they can talk about Travis Kelce? He was mid last year, but just like he's committed to Taylor, he's committed to football. And I was like, I don't think so. I think that's too hot takey. Trevor Lawrence, I like was hurt. I don't want to delegitimize that, but I don't think, like, he went on IR and I think week 15. And so I just didn't feel like there was as much of a, like, Dak Prescott, for example, had a potentially great season cut short. Um, and I had this spot blank when we started the podcast, and I thought to myself, I've heard a lot of things about this being a person of high character. So I'm rooting for him to do well. And I'll be darned if it isn't Nick Chubb. I also have Nick
Yeah.
Chubb as my comeback player of the
Let's
year sleeper.
go.
1, 2, 3, baby. Perfect consensus. I thought, man, there's no shot he's going to go to Nick Chubb. And then you were like, in the backfield. And I was like, oh, multiple teams. Oh, let's go. Yeah. So I think it'd be cool if Nick Chubb turned into a guy again. He had a ton of pop as like a really prolific runner before he got hurt. So it'd be really cool. Glad we were on the same page. That's awesome.
Yes.
Ow!
Amazing.
Okay.
Now what do we do?
On to the next. Let's deploy the DPOY, defensive player of the year.
Nice. I like that.
It was in my brain all day. I don't know why. Uh who do I think will win this award over Aiden Hutchinson? To my great ire. Um, it is the great Micah Parsons, traded to the
Mm,
Packers. The spotlight will be on him if he has a very good season. No one will shut up about it. So even if Hutchinson outplays him, I think Parsons will be the favorite. That said, if Hutch has more sacks, I think everyone's brain just turns off and reads the sack number. So if
mm.
Hutch out sacks Micah, I could see these roles being flipped. I just think the comeback player of the year narrative is too convenient. Mike also missed 4 games, so maybe they'll try to spin that into something. I think number 2, and this is in my Al Golden. Actually, no, this is in my Joe Burrow is good timeline. My Joey Bones is good timeline. I think Trey Hendrickson has the potential. I think defensive ends. I know Pat Surtain, a cornerback, won last year, but D ends just get more pop for this award.
Yeah, pass rushers won it a
Splashier
lot.
players. Yeah. And if they're, again, a wild card team, if they're challenging for the AFC North all the way through the season, with a weak defense that's being buoyed by Trey Hendrickson kind of being that guy on an island. I think that gives him a pretty good candidacy for DPOY. I didn't go with a guy like Myles Garrett in consideration just because I don't think the Browns will be good enough to give him the spotlight.
Yeah, that's fair. I like those picks. I think they're good. Considered them myself. I went with number one, Will Anderson Jr., Houston
Nice. Okay.
Texans. The Texans have a good defense. They have a sneaky good defense over there. I thought about drafting them in several leagues, and not only do they have a good defense, they are preying on the weak AFC South. So
Yep.
Will Anderson can wreak havoc upon the O lines of that division. And I think this year Texans victories will be more balanced. I don't think they are just CJ Stroud and whomever kind of leading the offense uh, in a shootout. I feel like, I mean, we kind of saw this a little bit in the playoffs, right? Where they just stopped the Chargers offense from functioning and just destroyed them, basically. And I feel like we could see a little bit more of that this season. Derek Stingley, great corner there. There's other pieces around him, but like you mentioned, pass rushers typically get the edge, and I think Will Anderson can do that for the Texans. And then number two, I put a player that you mentioned. I put Myles Garrett because I feel like
Fair
I
enough.
don't stop hearing about how awesome he is. Like I feel like the NFL loves Myles Garrett and they promote Myles Garrett so much. And I think to your point about the Browns not being that good, I think what could work in his favor is like the only way they're in games is because Myles Garrett and the rest of the defense are just preventing the other team from also scoring. So they're like every game they're losing like 10-7. It's like man, we're really trying though. Like we're really doing our part. It's just not the offense. And I think the offense being as bad as I think it will be, maybe not under Joe Flacco, but when they try to go to Dylan Gabriel or Shadir Sanders or whomever later in the season, I think will also just make the defense look that much better.
Yeah. I definitely think it's totally fair to have Miles in that top consideration. I personally just I took him out, but I think it makes a lot of sense that, especially as you say, maybe they're a 6-win team, but Miles is responsible for those 6 wins and they lose 5-1 score games and like he did everything
Hmm.
possible. Then yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The NFL does love some Miles G. Um, my DPOY sleeper is kind of random. I don't know a lot about
Okay.
this player. He's going into his second year, but everything I hear about him from the stat heads and just those kind of folks, they love them some Quinyon Mitchell, the
Mm,
corner for the Philadelphia Eagles. And
hmm
if he has a shutdown year, the Eagles are a team that the NFL loves and that have had a lot of recent success. And so if they're back in the playoffs and Quinyon Mitchell has, let's say 8 picks and is playing true shutdown corner play, especially in the marquee matchups that the Eagles have coming up this year. This is just one of those players that like, yeah, I'd heard about Pat Surtain. I knew Pat Surtain was very good. Would I expect him to necessarily be Defensive Player of the Year? No, because it doesn't typically go to corners. But maybe Quinyon Mitchell's just that guy. And it surprises the league a little bit. But not a strong narrative there. I think a sleeper in play alone. Not necessarily narrative, but anyway, that's my sleeper. What about yourself?
Yeah, less sleeper, more narrative. It's Micah Parsons.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the trade narrative is just so strong, and I think like
Mhm.
making him the defensive player of the year after the whole thing with the trade and the season starting, it just makes too much sense. So when you said it at one, I was like, yeah, I guess it is like kind of obvious. But yeah, like I said earlier, it's more the narrative I was thinking of, and it's just the easiest narrative to go with.
For sure. Can I add a fourth? Can I add another sleeper?
Let's add another sleeper. I thought about you said Micah Parsons. I was like, maybe I should say someone else.
Wouldn't it be I do not predict that this will happen. I think it's almost statistically like so minor that this would happen. But if
Mhm.
we're in the 1 in 1 billionth universe where Kenny Clark wins Defensive Player of the Year out of this lineup, I think that'd be so funny. He just has like 12 sacks from the interior and like however many tackles for loss and like it'd just be hilarious. I don't think
All
it happened, but
that is hilarious. I will throw in year two jump from Defensive Rookie of the Year, Jared Verse. for the Rams.
Oh, nice,
That'll
nice.
be my extra addition since Micah Parsons was already mentioned.
No, love
Because
that.
like you said, there's a world where they win a lot of games. So
Um, yeah, I mean he's a guy I think who has the potential to suddenly be really really good, and in the conversation for one of those top 5 or 10 DNs. What's our next category? We're running out. I think we've got 3 left.
three more. I'm gonna go with Protector of the Year, baby. That's
Let's
where I'm going.
go.
Um,
POTY.
Number one, my favorite protector, your favorite protector. Panay Sewell has to be mentioned. I think Panay Sewell is one of those offensive linemen, even before I think I was like super into Lions fandom, where I feel like I heard about him. So that must mean something. I feel like a lot of our running attack, there's a lot of credit given to the offensive line as well as the running back. So makes a lot of sense. Great offense, great offensive line. Um, and then my number two pick, I struggled between two players of the same team. I ultimately went with Lane Johnson on the Eagles because they have a lot that they do over there on that Eagles goal line. They got the tush push, they got Saquon scoring a billion touchdowns, and it's just no. I think this award will go to superior, probably tackles mostly,
Hmm.
um, on really successful running offenses, which is what both of these two are.
Yeah, I think if Jason Kelsey was still in the league, I would consider him the odds-on favorite just because of his sort of reach. But I agree with you. I think it's a tackles award. I actually have the same 2 names. I just flipped them. I love Panay. Um, I think Panay probably is the best. Like, yeah, I mean, obviously, if I was drafting right now, here's something to consider. Right, I respect the fact that Lane Johnson's been one of the best, and some people say, oh, I'd still take Lane Johnson over Panay Sewell. I am older than Panay Sewell. Okay, I'm not 25 yet. I'll be 25 soon. I am older than Panay Sewell. That's insane. I think that Panay Sewell is phenomenal. I think he is offense altering. He's a player that you'll tell your kids about if you're a Lions fan. But the reason I have Lane Johnson edging it out is number one, I think the Eagles' offensive line gets so much pop, right, and so much good press. But also, Lane Johnson is very old, um, and I could absolutely see from a narrative standpoint, maybe he comes out maybe he's on the New Heights podcast midway through the season and says, "Yeah, I think this is going to be my last year." And so he's going off into the sunset. This is his kind of last ride at the Eagles, and it's sort of a lifetime achievement, Protector of the Year award to
Hmm.
send him off on the way out, or maybe even if we don't know he's going to retire, being kind of an elder statesman and acknowledging his sort of body of work, lifetime, and then maybe if Lane leaves the league or after he wins that award once, we'll start asking, okay, now who should be winning it? And then, Panay would obviously have the opportunity to take that spot. So I just feel like the narrative around Lane Johnson, if something were to happen where we knew he was going to retire, maybe, the Eagles aren't doing so hot. And so they're eliminated late in the season. And then he's like, yeah, I don't know if I have it in me for another run, whatever.
That's
But those two for sure. Those two are absolutely my top two.
no,
Sorry to
that's a
turn
great
that into
point.
an 8-minute diatribe about that. I know
No,
a lot of them.
that's a great point. I could definitely see that being why that happens. Maybe it was Panay bias creeping in that I slipped him up to one, but I'm not sad about that. I think when they introduce new awards, what they should do is go back and retroactively give it out for every other year. That would be cool.
That would be I. You could also do like yeah, because I think that'd be difficult if you were like, okay, we're going to do it as long as we've been doing MVP. Then 1957 Protector of the Year is. It's like that'd be kind of tough. But
Yeah.
if you did like, hey, we're going to go for each decade we're going to choose, or we're going to have like 6 Ring of Honor candidates. And so you can get guys like Joe Thomas, who is legendary for the Browns,
Hmm.
and, a few other of those guys without having to do every year. But I like that thought. And I think it'd be, or maybe you have that be a fan voted thing. Like, who is the fan
Mm.
vote protectors of the year for the last 20 years? And we're going to put 5 of them in as
How
all
many
NBA
will
players.
Anthony Munoz win? I don't know.
And I
Uh,
wish I got to kind of watch him play when I was conscious. I feel like
yeah.
he's one of the few offensive linemen that stands the test of time. So
My sleeper, offensive lineman of the year, narrative driven. After starting left tackle goes down with a season-ending injury, you
ooh,
must shift your position to the other side of the line with a rookie running back and an older guy, probably splitting the carries, albeit successful nonetheless. Joe Alt, you will protect Justin Herbert's blind side and win this award.
I like that. I like that pick a lot. Do you know who the older guy is, or was that just like I'm sure there's
Najee
someone else? Like,
Harris.
okay, yeah, 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 for sure.
Yeah.
I was just curious if you knew. I don't know if he's going to play with the fireworks injury to the
He's
eyeball.
apparently good to go. They're like, yeah, he's practicing now. He's there.
Um, right, good for him. How many fireworks injuries can NFL players have? I wonder.
He didn't blow
Um,
his hand off. So
Jason Pierre-Paul,
I love JPP. I love him.
JPP. Speaking of Jay, my sleeper's first name starts with a J as
There
well.
you go.
It's perfect, perfect. If the Chiefs return to hyper dominance, it may well be because of improvements to the offensive line, particularly rookie offensive tackle Josh Simmons, who the Athletic Football Show said is very good, and I will take their word for it. More importantly, I think if the Chiefs are return to relevance and have a strong offense, and Patrick Mahomes is clearly protected, I think there's been enough discourse about the Chiefs' offensive line, even in that national media, to put them at the forefront. Having a strong left tackle buoy that offensive line would surely get you some press and clicks. And so that's why my eyes wander to Josh Simmons. I think it'd be unexpected for a rookie to
Yeah, that'd be
win
wild.
an award like this for sure. But I don't have a deep enough understanding of offensive linemen to go three deep on true favorites. And so there would be a surprise narrative for you.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I could see it. Like, I could see him just giving it to Creed Humphrey just because he's been there. But
that's a good one. Yeah, maybe Creed would be a better fit in that place instead, especially if like because I think they've done some shifting of the guards there, so maybe that would be like, but their interior is still so good, and it's all because of Creed Humphrey. Nothing against Creed Humphrey. I'm sure he's a great dude. I'm actually not sure. I need to stop saying that about football players.
this is the
I,
NFL.
I'm sure he is a human who plays good football.
Mm,
Um, all right.
true.
True. Okay, we have this works out. We have offensive and defensive rookies of the year
Yeah.
left to go. I'll start with OROY. Feels more fitting. My number one. I think we'd both be happy about this. I teased it earlier. Travion Henderson.
Mm,
I
mm.
think when you've got a great running back that can catch the highlights, if there's not a superstar rookie quarterback, that gives you a leg up for it to be someone else. I think Ashton Genty, it's going to be hard for me to feel justified taking a running back that high unless he's really, really, really good. And I'll knock on wood. Jahmyr Gibbs was the 12th pick, so why not the 6th pick? But I think when expectations matter, if Ashton Genty isn't one of the 10 best running backs in the league from jump, it's going to be really hard for him to justify this. And I could see if Travion Henderson, am I getting his last name right? I keep feeling like I'm saying the wrong thing. Yeah, Travion
I think
Henderson.
it is Henderson, yeah.
I think my brain goes Trey Hendrickson and then Travion Henderson. It's just
Mm,
so similar. But either way, I could see him being that guy if the Patriots are good. And hey, he's my flex in fantasy, so let's get it. Number
true.
two, it's got to be a QB. Who's the big QB in this draft? Who's going to play all 17 games barring injury? It's Cam Ward. And if the Titans are just okay, but Cam Ward looks really fun, it's probably all he needs. Most of these awards are quarterback awards unless proven otherwise, looking at you, MVP, and then, yes, offensive rookie of the year. So if Cam is good, I think the award's his.
That's fair. Very fair. I did go with Genty for my number one. Just because I think it's a volume thing. I think he's just going to touch the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Um, I do think with Travion, I have him on my other fantasy league, so I also wish him the best. Ramondre Stevenson is there, and I don't think will be entirely not used. Henderson also kind of a smaller running back, so he kind of has like the Devon Achane worry of like he got hit a little too hard, now he's out for 3 games. Um, So those are things that kind of worry me, but I hope that's not the case, obviously. I just think Genty has no competition in that backfield in Vegas, and if they're running the ball, it will be him. Um, so that's kind of my argument there. Two, I had Cam Ward as well. Only QB that's going to start every game this season, assuming health, because Jackson Dart's coming off the bench. Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders are coming off the bench. And even legend Tyler Shuck is coming off the bench. So Cam Ward is really the only guy that that is going to be out there from day one. And again, if he has a ton of okay volume at quarterback, that shoots you right up to the top of this award.
Um, yeah, I mean, again, we had the same pick, so I concur. As for sleeper, you mentioned him. I've written Shadur Sanders, but I believe in Dylan Gabriel. I really do. I think that the depth chart is purposeful. Dylan Gabriel is above Shadur. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if Joe Flacco stops playing, let's say after week 6, say week 7, Dylan Gabriel comes in and everyone's saying, why not Shadur? Why not Shadur? And then he's very good for 12, whatever, 11 games, 10 games. That might be enough. He's a
If that happens,
quarterback.
I'll buy you a Dylan Gabriel jersey.
I would maybe wear that with pride. I don't like the Browns part, but I kind of am just
You
falling in
want an
love with the
Oregon
idea
Duck
that
Dylan Gabriel jersey?
Oregon yeah, if it's a Ducks jersey, maybe. Um I don't know. I think there's a great story to be told with the Browns backup quarterback situation. The obvious story is Sanders. If Dylan Gabriel overcomes that narrative and plays well, I don't know. I just think it'll be really fun. And I think that sort of underdog story washes some of the bad taste out of the mouth after Cleveland gave a fully guaranteed contract to a predator. So, um, Dylan Gabriel, take us home. What is your sleeper pick?
My sleeper is after really just coming into their team as the de facto number one receiver. Tetaroa McMillan
Ooh.
and Bryce Young lead the mighty Carolina offense to some record in the NFC South that doesn't matter because that doesn't really matter for this award. But he gets a lot of catches. There was a stat, and I heard this after I made the pick. To be fair, because I was listening to a podcast on the way home, and I
Oh.
heard this stat where like the last so and so top 10 receivers have all gotten 100 targets. Um, and I think he will fit the bill. So I feel like he's going to be targeted a lot. I know they took Xavier Legette. Doesn't seem to exactly be panning out for him. They traded Adam Thielen. Jalen Coker is starting the season on IR. So there's just not a lot of receiving going on outside of him, and they drafted him all the way with the eighth pick. So why not throw the ball at him a lot? He's huge. So
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great I don't want to say Occam's razor pick, but like if you're looking at a situation that would produce a rookie of the year provided he is good, that's probably a very good scenario to circle. Which podcast were you listening to, by the way?
the ESPN Fantasy Focus podcast,
I
just
believe it.
because.
Yeah, why not? Hopefully that doesn't decrease my odds of eventually trading for Tetaroa McMillan if my wide receivers don't perform. Eh, eh, eh. Um, okay. I think you've
DROY,
got last DROY.
DROY Jenkins.
That's where my
Nope.
brain went.
Yep, I heard it. I was like, I heard it. The number one, really, really obvious one. I talked about this in the preseason when we talked about this team and how dominant their defensive line would be. And part of that is Abdul Carter for the New York Giants. Because I think he will play pretty early. I think their defensive line will be good, and I think he'll be a big part of that. So I had him first. I was looking for like who's gonna be like instant day one impact guys, and then that will last for the majority of the season. Number two, I thought was interesting. When I looked at a lot of depth charts for this award. Starting across Kyle Hamilton, Malachi Starks, Ravens safety, and I think their defense will be good. I don't think their defense will be great, but I think it'll be good, and I think he'll be an important part of that if he's good across from Kyle Hamilton to kind of secure that secondary. So that is my top two for you.
Um, okay, I will give mine, and I will say I had all three of these players listed as my number one at different points. Um, I'm gonna go with my gut. This is one of the favorites for the award. I think Jalon Walker, linebacker for the Falcons, has a good
Yeah.
chance. If the Falcons defense has a 1 year turnaround with the help of one of the worst moves of the offseason per me, the James Pierce Jr. trade, if that defense is suddenly
Is he in your
swarming,
top three?
he is not.
Oh.
If that defense is maybe should be. If that defense is suddenly swarming and Walker is all over the place, just making all kinds of plays in coverage, he's coming down on the line. I don't know how they're going to utilize him, but when the wheel hits Falcons, we'll learn about it. Either way, I just think that if that's the narrative, I could see Walker being the benefactor of that, or the beneficiary of that in the defensive rookie of the year race. And then who I had written as number three, but I'll make him my number two. I wasn't expecting you to also go Malachi Starks. I figured I was going to be a
Mm.
little artisan that pick, little artisan there, but
You were
no.
like, oh, how dare you?
My indie pick, Malachi Starks. No one will see this coming. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know a ton about safety play, but the last safety the Ravens drafted in the first round just became the highest paid safety in the league. Ravens have a proven track record with defensive talent and building strong defenses. And I could totally see a ball hawking secondary or a thumping secondary, or sorry, ball hawking safety or thumping safety for the Ravens getting a defensive rookie of the year award. It might be a position that doesn't have enough of a spotlight on it, but he could be one of those guys who's just too good to deny.
Yeah.
Who's your sleeper?
I'm glad. I'm glad that we were in contention. Contention? Nope.
As
In
opposed to
agreement.
Stark's contrast.
Ah ha 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 ha.
So funny.
Okay. Um, my sleeper fell in the draft a little bit, I think, farther than people thought this player was going to fall,
Oh.
and will start for what will ultimately be probably a subpar defense. But I hope he bounces back. Michigan's own Will Johnson for the Arizona Cardinals. Just being a good starting corner in a pretty competitive division, and they're like the worst team in it. But if he can hold his own, maybe he gets some love.
Um, this is a cool pick. I had kind of forgotten about Will Johnson, but I think like a true sleeper, someone people like, but haven't heard a ton about. And I hope he pops off week one because I have Cardinals defense locked and loaded. Um, guess I better watch Cardinals Saints.
Well,
My
it's the Saints, so.
maybe not, maybe not. My number three, which is really my number one as written, just because I think the league will want this to happen, but I don't think he's going to be that good. But like it's got to be Travis Hunter, right? Like that's going to show up somewhere, right?
Yeah, we,
I
we
was
hadn't mentioned him yet in these rookie awards.
I feel like he's got to
He's
show up.
like he's in like the top five favorites for both.
Which no, he won't be. I to be clear, I actually think Abdul Carter and Jalon Walker, Malachi Starks. I could probably list 5 or 6 defenders I think have a better chance. But if we're
Yeah,
talking about the power of narrative,
yeah.
Travis Hunter has that in spades. And I think if you're thinking to yourself as a listener, well, of course they're going to give Travis offensive or defensive rookie of the year. He shares a name with Travis Kelce, and he's a two-way player. I hear you. I think my guess is he's not going to play every offensive snap, and he's not going to play every defensive snap. And on offense, it's really hard to cover a lack of production. On defense, it's much easier. If he has
Hmm.
4 picks and a good passer rating against, people will forget, at least in the national media, they'll be like, oh my gosh, the passer rating against is only like 60. And it's going to be like, yeah, he played 10 snaps a game.
Right.
He's thrown to twice a game. But if he gets like 4 picks in limited snap counts, people will say, wow, that's so impressive, right? Whereas in a
So
limited
efficient.
snap count in offense, exactly. I find it hard to believe he'd get more than like 800 yards, right? Even if he's
Yeah.
playing at his best. And you're going to have a Tet McMillan maybe, or a Trayvon Henderson, or one of these quarterbacks just not playing. So I think we have to talk about him. I think he has to be in the conversation. Do I think he will be the best defensive rookie in the NFL year one? Certainly not. Do I think he will get consideration because of the situation under which he plays? For sure.
A combination of Travis Kelce and Danielle Hunter. Travis Hunter is here on
My
both sides of
God.
the ball.
A freak. Anyway.
A tight end
Uh
and defensive end. That's not the positions that he plays.
that's certainly not. I could honestly see, like, I guess if you were a two-way player, you could have the build to be both of those positions at the same time, but that would hurt so much.
Oh yeah.
Um, oh, painful. Anyway, last thing, and then we're gonna take our field goal and we're gonna promote the show mercilessly. Who's winning the Super Bowl and who are they winning it against?
Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Can you go so I can think about it? Thanks.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm struggling with the AFC. I think the Lions will win the Super Bowl. Why not? Knock on wood. I think they're going to have a battle tested schedule. I think the coordinator switch is overplayed. Our defensive coordinator was being, trained for this in the building. Our offensive coordinator is well respected around the league and helped design the Ben Johnson offense. I think that we have a lot of star talent. If health is kinder to us on the defensive side of the ball and doesn't bite us too much on the offensive side of the ball, I feel like we still have enough talent to be really, really strong and competitive, and stand up against any team. And I think we're going to be motivated now that we're not the marquee team. We're going to be kind of that third or fourth team in people's mental pecking order, or maybe second team. But I think that'll give us drive. In the AFC, the Chiefs have that winning gene. The Bills have all the talent in the world, and the Ravens, man, they've got some true superstars. It's really hard to pick against the Chiefs. There's some part of my lizard brain that says the Bengals.
The 8-9 Bengals have made the Super
The 8
Bowl.
9 Bengals, they're going to sneak into the wild card and then go on a tear. I mean, their defense is just going to be too bad, I think. If the Bengals made the Super Bowl, I would feel really good about the Lions against the Bengals. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
With all respect to the Bengals, I just think we have more complete
I
defense.
have my pick if you want me to go while you're
No,
mulling.
I'll say the Chiefs. I hate the thought of them going back for the 95th time, but I need to see it from the Ravens. I think the Bills are just starting to get, like, that attrition is starting to wear on them. And yeah, I think that the Bengals don't have the defense. So I'll say the Chiefs. Lions over Chiefs.
Yeah, I actually did think about it earlier when you brought it up. I just never bothered to write it down. Um, I have the Lions losing in the Super Bowl, sadly.
Okay,
Much to
so
my
you're already wrong. Are you okay with being wrong before even having the other team out?
I'm very happy with being wrong about the Lions losing the Super Bowl. Yes, I would love to be wrong, so
Okay,
that's
cool.
no problem here. And because I predicted them to go 15-2, I will say the Bills and Josh Allen win a
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Um, yeah, it's really a pot shot in both conferences. I think there's like three teams in both conferences, and I'm like, yeah, I could see this team making a run. It's like the Lions, the Eagles. Maybe it's just two teams in the NFC. Um,
Yeah.
maybe what or the Commanders. Oh, the Commanders. And then yeah, it's like the Bills, Ravens, Chiefs in the AFC, and there's a couple of dark horses, but I don't think that realistically speaking, I would have anyone out of those five. So Bills, Lions. It would make me sad if the Lions lost, but I would love the Super Bowl until it happened. I would be like, yes, this is the Super Bowl. Awesome.
Yeah, I mean it would be really exciting, and of all the teams that I think could make the Super Bowl from the AFC, I would love for the Bills to, like, I think they are another franchise that struggled for a long time, and so there's some mutuality in that. There are a lot of podcasts that do, like, what teams do you think are Super Bowl capable and what teams, like, don't, like, what are the Super Bowl potential teams. And
Hmm.
maybe we should do that next offseason because I think it's a fun exercise. But I agree. I think um, the list is probably no more than five deep for me in either conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think if the Lions made it to the Super Bowl, it'd be incredibly exciting. And I'm rooting for a great year for everyone's team, and the best year for my team, as we are now less than 48 hours away from the start of the 2025 season. Woo!
Oh my golly.
Yeah, super excited to get back to it with our next episode early next week, we'll break down what went down, the big storylines, the wins, the losses, our takes on the Lions and the Raiders. Let's go Vegas Raiders. To be
Raiders.
sure, like, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever we are available. Are we available on Apple
I
Podcasts?
no. No, I've never delved into it.
Don't you dare follow us on Apple Podcasts. This is going to be another Eagles Cowboy situation where they they leave right before I say you can't find us there.
I can't find him. What's going on? They told me to follow him. I can't find it.
Yeah, YouTube, Spotify, comment on the shorts. Tell us we're morons. Tell us we're geniuses. Only one half of you will be right.
Oh, that reminds me. I have real quick, I have some comments for you.
For
Um
me in particular, as a
Not
person.
for you in particular.
Okay,
It
good.
was I think they're actually both directed at probably me. How on earth do I look at this?
One of you two is wise and handsome. I think that one's about me. Uh,
That that one must be me. There's no way they would have said that about you. I can't find it now because I'm terrible at operating the analytics on YouTube Shorts. Um,
Do you want me to keep listing places you can't find the podcast?
that'd be good. It's so
Don't
weird.
check
It's
iHeartRadio. Don't check SiriusXM. Don't check Vimeo.
say
Uh,
Vimeo.
yeah, I did say Vimeo.
Vimeo is insane. What if
Don't check.
I'm trying to look at it from like the YouTube creator side. I'm just gonna go in as me in real life. Here it is. All right, we have the Brown. So this is on our AFC North records short,
Okay.
in which I famously had the Browns as 3-14, and you had them as 4-13, I believe. Um, this comment says the Browns are a 12-win team. I just hearted it. Somebody did respond 2 hours ago while we were recording and said you're high. So, um,
I
thanks that person for defending us. That same person, actually, I didn't realize this. They came back. They commented 9 hours ago, and they came back 2 hours ago to comment on the other comment, I guess.
wow.
Um, and this person's name, rightfully so, is DK Glazer. So they said y'all are so wrong. Just you wait for Pittsburgh to prove y'all wrong. Well, I had them at like 6 wins, so that's why I know that one was definitely directed towards me. Um, you had them a little higher, I believe.
Yeah. Hey, listen. AFC North fans out there. I hope, for the sake of your fandom, that we're wrong. And I think, listen, I think I have been a very vocal Dylan Gabriel fan on this podcast. So if you're a Browns fan out there, know that I'm thinking about you. And
I'm not clipping the Dylan Gabriel for the shorts. That's the issue, I guess.
ah, and go back to our first episode where you lauded the Steelers for making the move of the offseason and the Jalen Ramsey acquisition. So
Mm.
um, we have
It was
respect for those
looking
teams
worse
for
and
sure.
worse, but as their corners continue to crumble in Miami, but
It's tough for Miami for sure. Jalen Ramsey's like, man, I'm glad I got out of there before I got hurt. Um, no, it's a week of optimism. I'm so excited for ball to be back. Um, yeah, enjoy it with family, enjoy it with friends, significant others, and just to whet your appetite a little bit. Why don't we get a field goal? Just a little
let's do
early.
it. Come home from
Let's
Ford Field.
from Ford Field to the new apartment. My address is the following. Nowhere I'll tell you. No background. I do have an arm, by the way. I feel like sometimes Ford Field erases my left arm.
All right. I must be able to see the kick.
Okay.
That's
Uh,
important.
just a short one to start us off this year. Let's do a 35 yarder.
35.
Okay.
End of Lions Packers, by the way, so big deal.
Liking, subscribing. I Jake Bates. I determine whether you win fantasy and whether we win Lion Facts. Here we go. Kick is up.
I never see the kick, Jared. I never see the kick. I have
Uh,
no idea where that went.
did I say it was Jake Bates? I was Brandon McManus in disguise. Packers lose.
Oh, Packers lose. Field goal. No good.